EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Football Friday edition of Birds 365. John, today we are officially wrapping up the 2025 NFL preseason. Less than 1 week from today, the Philadelphia Eagles will kick off their season versus the Dallas Cowboys. And at this time next week, we will have a Football Friday with real NFL football, regular season football. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Football Friday morning?
Yeah, coming off, 5 hours sleep? Not even close to 5 hours sleep Friday. Night game, yeah, let's get it underway. Bullshit Thursday night game. Boy, I would like Sunday to kick off the NFL season. But, hey, when you're the Super Bowl champions, you go first now.
No doubt about it, John. John, we got a lot to talk about today, too, man, as we get ready for that Thursday night game. 6 days away from right now. So you'll have a chance to, John, the benefit is you'll have a chance to kick your feet up on that first Sunday of football and consume some games if you want to go that route. So that'll be next Thursday night. But, John, we got a lot to talk about, man. The Eagles roster's got some changes on it. Obviously, a blockbuster trade in the NFL with NFC East ramifications yesterday in Micah Parsons. Full disclosure, I never thought they were going to do it. They do it. Micah Parsons end up in Green Bay. Again, I mentioned the roster changes and that game looming, John. So plenty of things to break down here on a Football Friday of Birds 365, brother.
Yeah, and I think the biggest one comes from outside, as he said, which I think, there's a lot of people that seem to care more if the Cowboys lose than the Eagles win, which I never understood. It's not a majority, but there's a significant minority that feels that way. I don't think this is good for the Eagles. I would have kept him there with an owner that's losing it, and now he's with a good organization that might be able to take advantage of it, who's in the same conference. So, yeah, you get to see him less, but you might see him in more important spots. And that, to me, is worse news for the Philadelphia Eagles. So to bring it in from, obviously, the Packers got a great player. They had to pay for it. That's what you have to do. Cowboys, I thought it was interesting that Don Van Natta, who's the great investigative reporter from ESPN, who has broken a lot of sort of business stories. Well, I think Don highlighted where he gets a lot of his information, but he tweeted last night, Jerry Jones bought the Cowboys by shaking hands with Bum Bright, who's the former owner. In a different time, he bought the Cowboys for, think about that. He bought the Cowboys for $140 million. And, Green Bay just had to pay Micah Parsons, in theory, $188 million. So it's been a pretty good business investment for Jerry Jones. But anyway, so to continue, Don said, Micah Parsons committed to a contract extension with Jerry on handshake, which he's not allowed to do because he has an agent, but I digress. When Parsons reneged, Jerry decided Parsons would never wear the star on his helmet. Jerry can't trust you. You're done. Okay. Hey, like I said, Don seems like a Cowboys fan there, but B, it's like, that's a terrible way of doing business. Awful. I'm not saying, first of all, you're an idiot for going to the player that has an agent, number one. And number two, if Micah did agree to a contract extension, he didn't, he doesn't represent himself. So it has no standing. And if you want to play the old bullshit, handshake is a man's, all right, then you got a shitty organization. Things are going to happen. You pivot away. I made a mistake. He made a mistake. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. Instead, you lose your best player for, picks that are going to be pretty deep in the first round, unless catastrophe happens for Green Bay from an injury standpoint, and you get an aging defensive tackle. And that's another thing. Jerry kind of conflates it with Herschel Walker, which was the famous trade that Jimmy Johnson set, and really Jimmy's responsible, not Jerry, for building up that legendary Cowboys team. And he spun off. He got a huge haul from Minnesota. He spun it off and got a bunch of players. And
Right.
You think Jerry's going to do that? He's out there saying, "Well, I needed a defensive tackle." You got that piece, and you're gonna shrink things down to I need a defensive tackle, which they do. But you're trying to get the best haul at that point, and you're limiting yourself to who's got a defensive tackle that's available? Yeah, just awful football management.
John, he definitely has that old school mentality, Jerry Jones. And the thing that he has proven is he doesn't give a shit, man. He really doesn't give a shit. If he feels disrespected, if he feels slighted, if he feels like anybody is trying to tell him how to run his team, he is going to ship you off. It's almost an impressive commitment, John, to the shtick. It really is. Yeah. He will blow it up just to make sure that nobody tells him what to do.
It is tremendous commitment to the bid. That's all fine and good, and a lot of old school. He's obviously old. A lot of older people. I'm older. We have a different set of Yes, handshake. You should be able to trust somebody. You also have to be realistic about it.
Yeah, the business has changed. Just like you bought it for $140 million, it's now worth $12.5 billion. With that comes, like you said, agents and lawyers and different things.
Exactly. So, I mean, you can either navigate through the real world, or you can play that bullshit. Back in the bum break days, your handshake was your bond. Okay, so continue to have a shitty team. I mean, all right.
John, in your estimation, man, because I agree with exactly what you said about open. I mean, how do you have that type of player, whatever age, Mike? I think he's 26 or something. That good of a football player, all right? And you have that chess piece that you can use to go any direction you want. He could have opened that thing up to every team and probably gotten so much. What type of haul do you think Jerry should have gotten from Micah? Because I'm not saying 2 firsts and Kenny's not. Is not, it's not nothing, but it feels like they could have gotten so much more from Micah Parsons.
Well, I mean, I don't know from a player standpoint. I mean, I think 2 number ones and a player is fine. And when you have to pay the guy $48 million or whatever the hell it was, with the contract's going to limit the compensation coming back. So that's baked into it, which I think I say all the time. People have to think about the contract first before they talk about trade pieces. So I don't have a problem with it, but I would have focused. If it were me, I would have said, all right, I want 2 first-round picks and I want a starting level player. And I would have opened the bidding and said, I don't care. I mean, yes, I need a defensive tackle, but I want the best player.
Right.
And I want the best. And I would have focused on teams rebuilding because I want high picks. I don't want 28. God forbid 32.
I know.
And that's what you're getting from the Packers.
All right. They were 23 last year, and I think they're going to be better this year.
Yeah, no question about it. Now, of course, barring injuries, they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender now. Now, one person doesn't make a Super Bowl. If that were the case, the Cowboys would win. But they'd make good decisions. They'll make good decisions around Micah Parsons. So it makes them better right off the bat, and they're going to be low on the list. So I would have focused on teams that really want to make a splash, that aren't as good, aren't as prepared to make that quick leap, and gotten picks that would at least be top 15 or have a chance to be top 15. So I think that's where they made the mistake. Plus, we all talk about the rivalries of the Cowboys. Hey, I got news for you. They got a big rivalry with Green Bay. Now, again, it's not to the standard of the NFC East because you got to play each other twice a year, but they had so many playoff battles because Green Bay's been so good over the years. Just a couple of years ago, they boat raced them when they won 13 games. That was the Aaron Jones game. They just killed them. Like everybody's saying the Cowboys is the most talented team in the NFL that year. And they won like 42 to whatever, 14. But they blew them out in Dallas, in Arlington. They have a long history with the Packers over the last 30 years since the Packers got good again,
Right.
with Favre. And most of it is tilted towards the Packers. So, this is bad on so many levels for the Dallas Cowboys. I find it very hard to believe that anybody's spinning it in any other way. Now, for locally, we're an Eagles. It's not good for them either. Because again, I'd rather play them twice in that monstrosity of a situation than have to sit there in the playoffs and say it's the divisional round or it's the NFC Championship game, and all of a sudden here comes a great Packers team. And the Eagles are great too, and they might persevere and they might beat them, but they might not. And this is going to go on probably for, nobody looks past 3 years in the NFL, but certainly over the next 3 years. So I don't think it's good for the Eagles either, to be honest.
We got plenty of stuff to talk about with it. All right, we're going to continue to talk about that part of it, the NFC East perspective, and then also the NFC at large perspective. I do want to take a look at Green Bay. But, John, just a couple questions here on the Cowboys. I mean, we got them 6 days from now. I mentioned at the opening of the show, the season opener is 6 days out. Well, it's versus the Dallas Cowboys. In your estimation, did they just wave the white flag on the season already? Not that I think their team thought they were competing for a Super Bowl this year, but it's another thing to go out and basically proclaim it to the world by sending Micah Parsons, one of the best players in the world, for Kenny Clark and a couple of future.
Well, I don't think, the people saying, well, they're going to tank for Arch Manning or whomever you think is the best quarterback. I don't think it's that. They're too good for that. You have to do a lot more. They're still not in the conversation for being one of the worst teams in football. Maybe if Dak gets hurt again and Joe Milton's in there, maybe then you start to say, all right, let's wave the white flag. But I think they're in purgatory now. They're a 7 to 9 win team, and they might have been a 7 to 9 win team with them because they're just not built correctly, but they still have too many good players to be completely off the rails, barring, if the quarterback gets injured, which is pretty much everywhere, almost, with few exceptions.
Right.
So I don't see it as that. I see it as, pissing match at the bar. That's what I see. That's it. It's just simple. Occam's razor again. Simplest explanation. Same thing that his divorce with Jimmy Johnson way back. Literal pissing match at the bar.
Right.
Both drunk. Now, I'm not saying Micah was drunk when he, but Jerry probably was. But anyway, I digress. Shouldn't say that. But a figurative pissing match at the bar. Nothing more.
It is crazy. Outlook on the NFC East, John, feels like, I know the Cowboys, as you said, they weren't really a contending team coming into this year, but I thought
they're a back-end contending playoff team, but not.
That's what I thought too. I thought they had a chance to win 10, 11 games if things bounced their way, if you know what I mean. And it feels like they just took themselves out of the conversation almost entirely. This NFC East just got better for the Birds. And while I do know you said at the open, it's not ideal for the Eagles that he went to the NFC. I'm going to soft disagree with you and say I agree. You made another contender in the NFC, but you got Micah Parsons out of your division where you're going to play the Cowboys 2 times every single year. Green Bay is another NFC team, but one thing that's consistent is your NFC East opponents, and they got way worse, and the NFC East got easier in my estimation for the Birds.
Well, I thought it was a 2-horse race to begin. It's still a 2-horse race because the Cowboys weren't involved in it.
But I mean, even like long term, I'm not just looking at this year.
Well, over the next 3 years, the Cowboys are, and you have a guy stewarding the ship that there's no confidence in. So I don't know how much that changed. There was no confidence in him before at this stage for all the missteps over the years. So I don't know from that standpoint how much has changed, and that's why I disagree with you. Is that keep them in the bad situation? All right, you got to see him twice a year. All right, but you'll persevere because you're making better decisions, and yeah, the occasional game will pop up, and he'll probably make a couple big plays. But that's what great players do. Now you got that potential great, like we talked about the Jimmy Johnson Cowboys. It was San Francisco. It wasn't the Eagles or the Commanders. There's more visceral hatred in the division, but it was San Francisco.
Right.
And then it became Green Bay. If you keep seeing the same team in the playoffs over a 5-6 year span, they become your bigger rival by far. To a certain degree, you saw it with San Francisco, the comeback to beating them down, and then San Francisco coming back, and all the hate that generated, and the stupid morning shows going back and forth. It becomes a bigger deal, and that was sort of a mini version. It becomes a larger version, like the Bar Packers and the good Cowboys, and then I think you'll have a complete different mindset. And this year, look, I heard, I'm not picking on him, but I heard somebody talk. Kyle Schwarber hit 4 home runs last night. Now that is a fucking amazing feat. I think it's happened 19 times in the history of baseball.
Yeah.
And they've been playing baseball for a long time. It doesn't happen that often. Happens less than a no-hitter. I forget how many perfect games there are. I think it happens less than a perfect game. It is an amazing feat. I heard somebody say it's meaningless because it's the regular season. Boy, that whole mindset, it mystifies me. What are you watching sports for if you can't enjoy 4 home runs? If you're a Phillies fan and you can't enjoy that moment, just stop following the team.
I couldn't agree with you more on that part.
I from the standpoint, there are so many, and I would say there's more Eagles fans that no matter where this ends, if it doesn't end in the Super Bowl championship, they will consider this season a failure. So if they lose to the Green Bay Packers in the NFC Championship game, that's a great season. That is a great, great season. But there will be a lot of people that shit on this team. And that's why I think it is much more concerning to have Micah Parsons in Green Bay than it is in Dallas.
All right, well, let's talk about the NFC real quick because I think you laid it out nicely there. But, John, this is my reservation. I will admit this. All right, we have another emerging team that is in the conversation to win the NFC. I think the Packers were good before this. I don't think they were with the top 4. I think it was Eagles, it was Lions, it was Commanders, and it was, who am I leaving out? Rams probably coming into the year. I think you've added the Packers to that list. But here is my concern with them. I don't trust Jordan Love. I don't think he's good enough. And that team's only going to go as far as Jordan Love's going to take him, in my opinion. And I think that's probably where they are not good enough, at least in my eyes. What do you see with the Packers team?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he's way too reckless. So I agree from your standpoint. But one thing you won't hear about Jordan Love is he doesn't have the ceiling as a player. Nobody's going to downgrade his talent. Nobody's going to say he's not good enough. So, that's a tightrope you're walking. You're assuming he's not going to learn from his mistakes. He's never going to learn from his mistakes. He's never going to improve. And quarterbacks improve all the time. Jaylen Hurts has improved. Josh Allen, still a little bit too reckless, but he has been greatly improved from what he once was. Everybody can improve. And when you do improve, you generally improve from learning from your mistakes. So you got to hope he doesn't learn from those mistakes, which is possible. But yeah, to me, roster wise, they have a legitimate Super Bowl roster, and they were close before. And the concern was the same concern. The guy makes too many mistakes, too push the ball. But did he push it because they were struggling at wide receiver too much? And again, did he push it like Jaylen Hurts in 2023 because they were behind more because he had to? All these things factor into it. You know, they got Matthew Golden now. I don't know if he's going to turn into anything as a first-round pick, but obviously he's got significant talent. They might just be better. And, you know, they're a team that has Josh Jacobs. They're a team that has now Golden added to Jaden Reed and Dobbs and Wicks.
Yeah,
and
they got some weapons over there for sure.
Yeah, they got a great tight end in Tucker Kraft. Their offensive line,
yeah.
It's good. It's good. It's not Eagles good, but nobody's Eagles good. The center's great. The right tackle's great. Banks is good. Ryan's good. Walker's the biggest concern. They got Micah Parsons and didn't have to give up Rashawn Gary. That's the guy I would have been looking for.
Right. Well, what do you think of what they did? Because they gave up Kenny Clark, and many have said, hey, their run defense is going to be shoddy as hell. And I agree with it. It probably is going to be shoddy, but you got Micah Parsons back. They're going to get pressure on quarterbacks, that's for sure. What do you think of who they gave up?
Well, you know, that's the mentality, and that's why I've warned everybody who thinks that everybody's coming to stop Saquon Barkley. I don't think that's the case. Everybody in this league still doesn't give a rat's ass about stopping the run. And this is another indication. So certainly maybe that helps the Eagles. But I don't think, you know, Kenny Clark is the reason they're stopping the Eagles and Saquon. So, you know, it depended. I like I said, you know, I was talking about getting an impactful pass rusher here, and Micah was always out of the question, even Trey Hendrickson. Everything falls into place, I would say. You know, Nolan's the number. Well, now Rashawn Gary's your number 2. And that's pretty freaking impressive.
Yeah.
So everything falls into place from that standpoint. You know, Edgerrin Cooper, we talk about rookies. He was a great rookie. So you talk about linebackers, and they have Coy Walker, who's a first-round pick. You have Xavier McKinney, that's a player the Eagles love and has killed the Eagles over the years. One of the best playmaking safeties in football. They're loaded, man. They're loaded. And they were loaded before this, and now people gave them Micah Parsons. So I say, why do people keep giving the Eagles good players? I say the same thing with the Packers. Like, why do you keep giving this team windows? Because they're going to make good decisions. And now I'm going to get accused of being a Packers fan.
Well, I'll tell you this too, John. Another factor in this is that NFC North is a gauntlet, man. They might destroy each other, kind of like they did last year.
Yeah, I see. I don't think so. Detroit, yes, but remember they're losing. Detroit's immensely talented, but they lost both coordinators. Like, JJ McCarthy. Come on.
Well, they got a good roster, though. I mean, it doesn't mean
they do, but you can't. You can't compete with Detroit and Green Bay if you don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, but you can be enough to, we play the Cowboys twice and the Giants twice. Who's a tougher opponent for, us playing those two teams or the Packers having to play the Bears?
There's no doubt on paper, the NFC North is better top to bottom than the NFC East. No question. But I mean, the Giants are getting better. Like I said, you can talk. Yeah, if you're talking yourself into the Bears, you can talk yourself into the Giants.
You can. I think the Giants might get third in the NFC East this year.
I mean, with that defensive front, like, what are you doing with the Bears? You're just talking yourself into things. Well, Caleb Williams is this. Well, he didn't look like this last year, so you're talking yourself into something.
I hear you.
Same thing with the Giants. Their defensive front in a different way, and if Jackson Dart, can be something, Bo Nix-ish, as I compare him to, all of a sudden the Giants are better than the Bears. So, I mean, until I see it, and maybe he's great, it's possible, JJ McCarthy, but until I see it, I have a hard time believing it. And my second assumption with JJ, he's going to get hurt again. It's like 190 pounds, and then they have Carson Wentz in there.
I know.
So
maybe Kevin O'Connell can get something out of Carson Wentz.
Well, if anybody can, it'd probably be him, but how much? I think there's levels, and people were shitting on Sam Darnold last year when I would say, hey, that guy's having a great season, but he has the final two bad games, and everybody's like, well, he turned him into something. But I think Carson would be more the Josh Dobbs. He turned Josh Dobbs into, okay, he's not the worst quarterback I've ever seen. There are levels. So he'll probably get more out of Carson than most people, but you ain't going to be a contender with Carson Wentz at age 32. Andy had him last year. He looked terrible. I'm more concerned about what that says about Sam Howell than anything else locally.
Yeah.
Because he gave up on him so quick.
All right, John, last exercise here, then we're going to get into the Eagles roster. All right, the initial 53 lasted, 12 hours, maybe less than that. So we'll talk about the changes that have come to the Eagles roster, the practice squad. I think they just signed another receiver to the practice squad about 25 minutes ago live here on the show. So we'll talk about that. Before I do that, John, the NFC landscape changed yesterday. We just talked about it for the first 25 minutes of the show here. Can you rank your top 5 NFC teams coming into the year right now for me? Because I do think
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I shifted. I'm going to go Eagles still 1. I mean, they're the reigning champs. I'll give deference to them. I think I'm gonna go Detroit 2, Packers 3, Commanders 4, Rams 5.
Eagles, Lions, Packers,
Commanders,
Rams.
And I think any of those teams could catch lightning.
Yeah. I'm surprised you have the Rams at 5. I like them because that D line is nasty, man.
Yeah, it is.
I'm a little concerned about,
but I'm concerned about Matt Stafford
Yeah,
back. Yeah, they're a good team. Any of them. Any of them can win the NFC of those 5 teams, I think.
I think there's any other outside opportunity.
Well, Minnesota, McCarthy's something, but I just don't believe in them.
Yeah, me neither.
San Francisco, I think, is going to be better coming off last year. They're playing the last place schedule, so they're set up to have a bounce back. But I don't think they're legitimate Super Bowl back yet. But they could have a good season. That's about it, I would say.
I think you're right on the money. I mean, mine would maybe look a little different, my top 5, but the 5 teams are the same, and all pretty marginal differences there. So, all right, everybody, good stuff. Micah Parsons traded to the Green Bay Packers. Last word is, John, I really didn't think Jerry was going to do it, man. I thought he would walk the line. I thought he would I thought he would franchise tag him if he needed to. I thought he was going to drag this thing out as long as possible until he got his way. I did not think he was actually going to trade him.
Well, I think that's why I brought up Don, because Don has a direct pipeline to Jerry Jones. Pissing match. It's basically what it came down to.
Yep. Jerry will not lose a pissing match. All right. So that's what happened. Good stuff there, everybody. The Packers get a little bit better. Eagles still top of the NFC, in my opinion, coming into the season. We got 6 days from the opener, and it's versus the Dallas Cowboys, who I just said it. They waved the white flag. I think they waved it, everybody. We'll see how that game kicks off here next Thursday night. Looking forward to that. John, let's get into that Eagles roster and some of the changes there. All right. I mentioned the initial 53 did not last very long, John. Let's walk through some of the changes that have come and starting with the more meaningful ones. What do you got for me, John, on the Eagles roster and where that stands? Because they're taking and baking, making a lot of moves.
Well, I think the biggest thing is you brought up the practice squad. I mean, they got 3 guys that they're supposed to sign to the practice squad. They already filled out their practice squad. So there's going to be big movements when it comes to the practice squad. Before they're back on the practice field Sunday. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, they'll practice in advance of Thursday night's game. So the latest guy you just mentioned, Javon Baker, to the practice squad. He's another Alabama guy. He played at Alabama, then he transferred out. So So I think a lot of people aren't going to recognize he's an Alabama guy, but he was teammates with DeMonte and all that. So they doubled down on their SEC proclivity, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But again, he'll start on the practice squad. Audric Estime is still coming to the practice squad.
Yeah,
and they're going to have to.
Excited about him, John. And then I saw the roster, and I was like, wait a second, he's not all there. Where the heck is Audric Estime? So let's see what they do.
Yeah, he's coming. He's coming. And then Ambry Thomas, another cornerback, who was a third-round pick in San Francisco. They always get ex-San Francisco third-round picks. He's going to be added. So, yeah, they have a full practice squad. The 16 guys they had practicing yesterday, and they're going to have to cut 3 of those guys to make room for, 3 on the practice squad. So that's more. We had already talked about Lampkin getting claimed on waivers. And please, can I stop Trevor Keegan, because the Cowboys claim Trevor Keegan. Trevor Keegan's not giving up all the secrets because there are no secrets. You get film, and if you can't decipher the film on your own, Trevor Keegan's not going to help you out. But, yeah, they claimed Trevor Keegan. Tristan McCullum got claimed by Las Vegas. So the interesting to me with Tristan McCullum, because they weren't going to bring Keegan back because they got Lampkin. The interesting part on McCullum is he went to Las Vegas, which is where Brandon Hunt went and Anthony Patch went, 2 of the Eagles executives. So obviously that's the connection. So they brought Marcus Epps back, but did they bring Marcus Epps back because they, Brandon gave him a nod saying, hey, we're going to grab Tristan, or did they bring him back because he's better? He certainly was better in 2022 when he was a starter for a Super Bowl team, but he tore his ACL last year. Reports out of Boston where he wasn't doing great in training camp there. So I don't know. The guy from 2022 shows up. He's a big upgrade. If not,
I don't think that guy's showing up. I think that's foolish to think.
Yeah. So, and they might have, like I said, because we don't know, waivers aren't official until 4:00 the next day. But Brandon and Anthony could have given Howie a heads up and said, yeah, we're going to claim him. So, and then they might have pivoted, or they might have just said, hey, we want to get better. Tristan didn't have a great summer in my estimation. A lot of tackling issues. But he was okay as a fourth safety. But I don't think it's going to hurt you that much. So, but those moves were already done. And now the practice squad, there's a lot going on with the practice squad. They got to cut 3 guys now to get everybody, and they want to get on the practice squad.
Which names jump out that you think they'll move on from to get these guys on there?
Well, corners, you have 3 corners on there. So you have Perry Nickerson, you have Brandon Johnson, you have Eli Ricks. To me, that's between.
Got to be Brandon Johnson, right?
No, see, I think the exact opposite.
Why? Because they don't have slot backups?
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
So, and Perry, Perry can play the slot as well, but he's 30. So,
yeah, I like Perry. That's why I leaned Perry.
And Eli, at what point?
Perry's got character, though, John. The long hair, the 30-year-old story. I like Perry Nickerson.
Well, and Ambry, and I'm surprised they're signing Ambry Thomas because he's been a disappointment. But I would think he's an upgrade over Ricks or more than anybody else. So maybe they finally waved goodbye to Eli, or they think. I'm not even sure if he is an upgrade. So they're obviously not going to keep 4 corners. That's why I say they're going to delete from there. Now at wide receiver, again, they kept 3 now because Britton Covey's back. We should have started with that. So, but obviously Britton's here to be the punt returner. Why else would he be here? So that would mean Terrace Marshall or Elijah Cooks goes, which, that's kind of what's your favorite player. Do you want the contested catch guy? Which I would think, because the guy you're bringing in is more of a well-rounded receiver. So I'm going to guess Terrace Marshall is the guy to go. And then Estime is more difficult because they didn't keep a running back, which was weird. And that's why they didn't keep a running back. My guess is they take from the tight ends. They kept DJ Jenkins and Cam Latu at tight end. And Cam's going to lose that battle. So those are my three guesses of making room for the guys coming in.
Yeah, probably right on page with you there, John. Good stuff. Who has the most impact here on this? I know it's kind of boring stuff because it's the back end of the roster. It's the practice squad. But look, it all matters in my opinion. And the Eagles continue to shake and bake, obviously trying to improve the bottom of the roster in any way they see fit. Who do you think has the most opportunity to make an impact? And do you like or not like what the Eagles are doing with the practice squad right now?
I mean, it's the practice squad is one. They take it very seriously, though. We were talking to Alec Hallaby yesterday, assistant GM. They have this mentality of 1 through 70, not 1 through 53. So, they build the roster with a 1 through 70 mentality. And then I have a 1 through 48 mentality because that's how many you can have up for game day. And then they have this little pocket of developmental that you can use on Cam Williams or Willie Lampkin because they're not going to be active. I don't think Ty Robinson's going to be active, or at least early in the season. And you can let those guys develop with that little pocket at the back end of the 53. So they have a very specific strategy, and the practice squad's part of it. But I mean, the obvious one that's going to get elevated early is Britton. If he's healthy.
Yeah. There's your punt return answer.
Yeah. And that they've done that in the past. When they had him undrafted, they didn't put him on the initial 53. They elevated him for 3 weeks, and then they put him on the 53.
Will you be advocating, John, still for Cooper DeJean and saying,
"Oh yeah,
he's a roster spot. Get rid of Covey."
That's hard because Covey's like the best dude in the world. I love that dude. So I'm not advocating getting rid of him, but my rant about yesterday stands. I don't get the NFL. Now, for a lot of people to say, McMullen, they brought in Brittany. If you listen to me, which I know they hear what they want to hear, I said, I'm not disputing that everyone believes you shouldn't use Cooper DeJean as a punt returner. He's too valuable as a defensive player. I'm saying my opinion is it's bullshit. And, people have bought into it. And it's turned into this. Oh, how could you possibly do that? Well, you could because it's no more dangerous than any other play. So the only argument is he's playing more plays. But if you believe that, as I said, and the odds increase the more you play, then he shouldn't be playing on base defense, if that's your belief. But he's going to, because that's going to increase his opportunities to get injured. People overthink this stuff. You got a great punt returner. Why not use him? But Britton's great at it too. Different type of great. He's not quite as explosive as Cooper, but he will do all the little things. He will save you field position. That's big with Nick. It's like half of the battle. Don't let that damn thing roll 20 yards.
Yeah, right.
So now he's coming off a serious injury, obviously, but he had practiced so presumably he's okay. And yeah, I mean, he's the obvious guy that will get an opportunity, week 1, week 2, week 3, at least.
We'll see what they end up doing. John, what do you think of that 53 now, man? We're officially, John, at the end of the preseason. I mean, this is our last football Friday before the regular season. But by next football Friday, the Eagles will have already played a football game, if you can believe that. Where do you think this roster stands going into the year? You think it's good enough? You know, John, one thing I've been saying before you respond to this is I think it's really tough naturally, you know, human nature-wise, to look at this team and judge it properly at this point because we're comparing it to the final product of last year. You know, last year's defense, week 1 through 4, wasn't so good. It was a buildup. It was each period or each week they stacked on top of the week prior, and it culminated in their most dominant performance on the biggest stage of the Super Bowl. How can we compare the 2025 team to that team? It's impossible to do. But we have to do our best with what we know right now. What do you feel about this roster coming into the start of the year this year?
Same thing. Top 20 is awesome. After that, you know, it's Katie bar the door. Hold on. You know, some guys, if they're forced to play, will persevere. Some guys won't. But they're not much different. But that's the NFL. You know, what makes the Philadelphia Eagles is the stars.
Right.
And those are the guys that are going to play the vast majority of the snaps, and that's why they're so good. And when they stayed healthy, and the vast majority did last year, it's pretty good. The depth to that, to your point, you're right. I mean, now we have the benefit of hindsight. The depth doesn't look nearly as good as last year's group. Maybe some guys step up, you know, but if you're being honest, it doesn't look as good on paper. And they've highlighted that by how much movement they've had on the back end. They had 5 August trades. They didn't have 5 August trades because they were happy with it. You know, they're trying to bring people in that are better than what they had.
Do you think the Micah Parsons move yesterday could change their thought? Not change completely, because I think they have a system that they stick to, and that's the right way to do your business, is to have a foundation that you build on, and you're not, blown like a tumbleweed based on what everybody else does. But I do think for a team, and you had been saying, basically reporting, the Eagles were interested in an edge rusher. Whether they would get one, we didn't know. But do you think yesterday's move changed maybe the sense of urgency that they have in adding to that room?
No, I think it was I think the urgency was there at a different level, of course, not at the splash level. I think it was there, but again, you need two to tango. I think it's still there. I think Howie kind of admitted it. You know, we're going to see what we have in September and make a decision. But for Micah changing, if the Packers win the Super Bowl, that's for down the line. That will change their mindset. Yes. But that's for down the line. Not drastically now. Other than
I don't get that. I don't get why that wouldn't. Why wait for after the year?
Well, it's just the human nature of urgency. About, oh, Jesus, they won the Super Bowl.
Don't you? I don't know. You tell me. Am I off base on that? You have a window right now, John. Saquon Barkley's in the prime of his career. A.J. Brown's in the prime. You have a defense that has the amount of talent it does, really strictly because they haven't had to pay him yet. I mean, this team is going to change when you pay guys like Jalen Carter, Cooper, Quinion, however far out that's going to be. I mean, this is the window for the Birds. Doesn't mean they can't extend it. Doesn't mean they can't have a good team in the future too. But this is a rare window right here. If I'm them, I got to double down on this and take this opportunity and try and put myself in the best position to succeed this year.
Well, it's easy to say, but once you win, I mean, there's the human nature aspect of letting the sigh of relief out and go, oh, we got it. And it's easy to say, just do it again. And I think from verbalizing it and from stating it, they've done a better job than most. They constantly talk about Landon Dickerson being the most vociferous. Don't talk about last year. Don't talk about defending. Don't talk about all that stuff. That team's over. This is a new team. They verbalized it brilliantly, but I think you see it more by Howie and building the roster. There's the human nature aspect of the urgency dips. Not that they don't want to win, but they use that goodwill in the bank to reset for what's coming. And what's coming is, I haven't heard a lot of people about this, and it's not apples to apples because they're different positions, but make no mistake about it. This contract caught Drew Rosenhaus's eyes, and he's going to start going in and say, well, Jalen Carter should be the highest paid player in the history of football. Trust me, he's going to say that. I don't think he's going to get that because different positions, like I said, and edge rush are still more valuable around the league as a whole. But he's going to get more money because of that deal. So he took that goodwill and he said, all right, this is it. This is the crux. We're going to reset from the cash over cap mentality that they've had over the past decade. They've spent more money up front, and they got to restock the coffers and do it over again, at least until the NFL stops it. So look, if they didn't win the Super Bowl, if they're in the game and they lose the game, it's different. I don't care what anybody says. They will deny it. But if you lose that game, it's different. If you lose that game, your edge rushing room looks different.
But this is such a good organization, John. Don't you think they know, like, you can't rest on your laurels. You can't sit on your hands in this league. They know that, no?
Easy to say, harder to do. They say it. They say it. You saw what they did.
All right.
There is a natural, it is almost at a subconscious level to have that sigh of relief. And if you don't have it, you have a greater sense of urgency. And you wouldn't be a human being if that didn't change. If you're in this industry and you win the Super Bowl, and that's why it's one of the many reasons why it's so hard to repeat, you have a sense of satisfaction, and it's tougher to have the same urgency,
yeah.
No matter how you try to replicate, no matter how many times you tell yourself, that's last year, this is this year, 33% turnover, yada, yada, yada. It's all true, but it's hard to have the same urgency.
There's no doubt about it. John, what do you think the strengths of this team are? Top three, because I know offensive line is number one. It's probably always going to be number one for the foreseeable future with Jeff Stoutland. What are the strengths of this team coming into the year? We're 6 days out from the opener.
Yeah, I think it remains it's usually offensive line, defensive front. This time I'll narrow it down to offensive line, defensive tackle. I think those are the biggest strengths. Obviously they're loaded at skill position, but the reason I put that more because I say it all the time. If you can't block people, you can't play offense. Doesn't matter how good your skill position people are. And, from both sides of the ball, offensively, obviously they have the great offensive line, so they're going to be able to do a lot of things they want to do offensively. And with the defensive tackles, you're going to create pressure that other teams can't deal with, and therefore will mitigate their skill position players. So that remains their two biggest strengths, and that's purposeful. The question, and my question, and a lot of people's questions has been, man, why did you bullshit it at edge rusher? And their answer,
John, if they made the move for Trayvon Walker, Jalen Hunt, Nolan Smith with Jalen Carter, Moro Ujomo, and Jordan Davis, that would be one of the best defensive lines in football.
Yeah. And they still might be. And their argument will be, we believe in Nolan, we believe in Jalix, and they still might be, and they might be right. But
look, I think you can be optimistic on players and still have to have a realistic expectation of trajectory. I don't think anybody that's realistic about Jalen Hunt is going to put him on a trajectory to just explode to the next level. It takes time. It's the NFL, guys. It takes time to get good and to acclimate. This guy was a safety a couple years ago for crying out loud. Now we want him to be a dominant edge rusher. I mean, look, I like the player. I think he's going to be a great player in the league one day. I don't know if he's going to take that type of jump in year 2.
Yeah, I'm, maybe Bryce Huff affected Howie a little bit more than we think. And maybe he'll be more honest about that. Said, well, why am I putting so many assets into this position? What's interesting, I was talking to Alec. I asked Alec about it. Alec doesn't answer player questions. He just deflects. So I tend to ask him more philosophical questions. And one of the ones was when he got here in 2009, the Eagles, they still are, but, when it comes to data and analytics and things like that, they were way ahead of the curve compared to the rest of the league. Now everybody's kind of caught up and everybody has the same information. And I asked him, does that make it harder from that aspect to have that advantage to win on the margins, yada, 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 all the stuff the Eagles like to hear. And he admitted, yeah, it does. But you're always looking ahead. You're looking for the next thing. Maybe the next thing for Howie is you shouldn't be paying your edge rushers $50 million. Well, not the case of, but the Eagles' belief, and I'm not talking about Micah, because the Eagles' belief, and this is with Saquon, a lot of people say, well, you shifted their running back thinking. They shifted their linebacker thinking with Zach Bond. And he got asked that question and said flat out, it's more about the player than the position.
Right.
Like, if you have a top, no matter the position, pay him.
Right. Zach Bond was arguably the best linebacker in football last year.
Which I agree with. That's always been my philosophy.
Yeah, it has. Players first.
Yeah. So, it's not about, I think people get caught up more in the position, but when you don't have stars, and Howie's the one who said it, there are different ways to do it. When you don't have stars, you build a bunch of just good players, and maybe they've done that, but that seems to be their philosophy on the edge room. And maybe Bryce Huff scarred him a little bit more. Like, we didn't know about his scarring from Jalen Reagor. Now he's very honest about it.
Yeah.
Originally, we didn't know about it.
The thing that gives me pause on that, and you always say this, John, it's player evaluation. And how we can look and say, all right, we evaluated that player wrong. But that shouldn't scare you out of thinking, oh, every edge rusher that we want to bring in isn't going to work out. I mean, I'm
not saying definitely. It's just got me thinking about it.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair thought process by you.
From what Alex said, and I don't agree with it. I think that remains one of the most important positions in football outside of quarterback. And I think they're both on the same level, edge and defensive tackle. I think they're both extremely important. But I think as a whole, and it served them well, the Eagles have always in this group, in this era of Howie Roseman, have always stressed offensive line, defensive line first. And they're still doing it with the offensive line, and they're still doing it with the defensive tackles. They did not do it with the edge rushers this year. And it has served him well over the years. And we'll see if that pivot serves him well this year.
I'm just a little concerned about the resting on your laurels comment that I made, where you have a team that dominated so well last year. And I look, the team should feel great. I mean, I feel great as a fan. I think this team is still one of the best teams in football, maybe the best team in football coming into the year. But you and Silly have been beating me over the head all summer with the baseball bat. Hey, look at all those guys they lost on defense. Dude, what do you think? That's not going to impact the team at all? It is, and I understand that, but I would be pushing, man. I would be pushing as much as I can to try and get that defense as close to what it was last year as possible, because I think that revealed to you the right formula. I mean, and I don't think you should rest here and let this edge rushing group as it is. I mean, you've been talking about the edge rushing group for months, back to April.
Yeah, I didn't believe we'd be here on the cusp of
No,
week
you
one
didn't.
with this group.
You
I
did
did
not.
not believe it.
You said in fact, I think you made a proclamation, didn't you?
I don't know. I probably did. I
Just
did
like
not.
they're not going to go into the year with these edge rushers.
I did not believe it, and they're going to go. And he's kicked the can down the road before. Most notable with players that he didn't want to. He wanted to get some like Bradbury kicking, but a different kick the can down the road.
Way different.
He specifically said we have to see what we have in September. Now, you can say he's talking about the roster as a whole, but he was really talking about edge rusher. We have to see what we have in September. So, this is put up or shut up. Those guys have a short leash. And we're going to see what it looks like.
I just don't know what kind of move you would make, once the season is started. I don't know if a bigger move. I don't know. I feel like it was too late already for a big move, but Micah Parsons got traded yesterday, so crazier things can happen.
Well, they were never in that conversation.
No, I'm not saying they would have been in that conversation. What real quick, would you have done that if you were the Eagles? 2 1s and let's say I don't know, Jordan Davis.
Compared to from a football perspective, yes. From a business perspective, it doesn't work. The Eagles have too many good players, which is a nice problem to have. But you also have to make. That's why they weren't involved in the conversation. Well, and plus the Eagles probably aren't trading. The Cowboys aren't trading them to the Eagles. You never know with Jerry, but I don't think he's that dumb. So a lot of things factor into it, but just if none of that existed, just from a player thing, yes. Come on, the Eagles are picking same as the Packers, even more of a level. With Micah Parsons, the Eagles are picking 28-32, 28 being the worst possible scenario. So they're very low level first round picks. I named the player. Nolan Smith, Jordan. Sorry, I love you guys, but no, you're going.
Yeah.
And they wanted defensive tackle, so Jordan would be the guy. Run stopping defensive tackle. Yes. I mean, he's got to go.
No, I would do it too. I'm just saying. I was trying to, in my head, I was trying to envision a trade that would have kept Jordan Davis because Micah is not the greatest edge against the run. So it would have been nice to keep a great run stopper, and then you have the pressure off the edge. I think it would have been a great combination. But that's all hearsay. None of that's happening. He's now with the Green Bay Packers. Good stuff. Great opening hour here on Birds 365. We broke down the Micah Parsons trade, what it means for the NFC, what the Green Bay Packers look like now, how they're going to compete, and what the NFC East looks like and what that outlook looks like. So if you missed that, go back and watch the open of the show. I will post it up on the channel as well. So appreciate everybody being here today. Hit that like button. Drop your comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I want to thank our great crowd in here, guys. 6 days out from the opener. We made it, everybody. Thanks to all the people who've been watching us all off season long, and thanks to the people who are back in the mix for the season right around the corner. We'll take a quick commercial break. When we come back, all right, we'll set the stage for that week 1 game next week. We'll talk about the injuries on the roster. We'll talk about the position battles that we watched all training camp. Who's going to start in that week 1 game? We'll talk about it all. Coming up next here on Birds 365.
The following is a presentation of JAKIB Sports.
If you're a small business owner or you work for a company that loves the birds, you need to react fast before we've used up our entire ticket allocation. And here's why. In celebration of JAKIB Media's new partnership with Savvy Seats, JAKIB Media will give you a pair of VIP tickets for any game on the 2025 schedule, home or away. And we'll give your company or your boss a 20-week media sponsorship package across the #1 digital network for Eagles coverage, JAKIB Sports. And that includes all of our game day coverage. Cost for your business or company? About $50 a week. Let's recap everything. 20-week sponsorship package on JAKIB Sports. including commercial spots, live reads, and liners. Inclusion in all of our game day coverage, including the soon-to-be-announced Green Zone, and a pair of tickets to the home opener or any game on the 2025 regular season schedule. Remember, that's home or away. If you're in Kansas City and you want to go to the game against the Chiefs, no problem. If you live in Florida and you want to go to the game in Tampa Bay at the end of September, no problem. Text Krause at 267-261-3428. That's 267-261-3428. And remember, do it quickly before this incredible gift is gone. JAKIB Sports and Savvy Seats put you right in the action with VIP seating, as we are proud to announce our partnership for the 2025 season with Savvy Seats. Text Krause right now at 267-261-3428. That's 267-261-3428. And pick your game today. If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio, or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to a Football Friday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mack, John McMullen. 6 days out, everybody, from the Eagles opener, wrapping up a great week here on the show that included 53-man roster cuts, initial cuts, some shaking and baking on the back end in the practice squad and all over the place, and then a massive NFL blockbuster trade that included a division rival, Dallas Cowboys, shipping Micah Parsons over to the NFC team, Green Bay Packers. So that's an interesting one there. We've discussed it all here on Birds 365. John, we are now preseason in the rear view. When we came into this preseason, this training camp period, all right, we had a lot of position battles on our mind, Johnny Mack. Let's kind of run through them, wrap them up, as we're now 6 days out, and kind of where we stand on each one. We'll start with the most prominent one, I think, of all that lasted all of summer, and that was cornerback 2, John. Who do you think is going to get that start in week 1? You think it's Adoree'? Will it stay Adoree'? What's your thoughts on that CB2 position post-training preseason?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Adoree'. It's Howie was pretty interesting when he was talking about the cornerback position, because, a lot of people consider it a weakness, and he was like, trying to get the exact quote, he said, "I've been here a long time. To have 2 young corners like that, that's a position of strength." And when you think about it that way, he's 100% right. I mean, to have 2 corners like that of the 3, the position as a whole is a strength, and people got a little bit spoiled by what went on last year. So, you got to persevere and put together the other position. And right now, Adoree' looks like the most prepared to play. But I wouldn't say 100% from the standpoint of Vic pulling off some kind of surprise. To me, it's, he's the placeholder until Jacorian Bennett is ready. And I think that's the way it's going to happen. But I do agree with Howie. Like, overall, that's not a position. Like, there's so many people, like, I've been hyper-focused on edge, and most people are. Most people who cover the team are on that same wavelength. You heard it from Caden the other day. You heard it from BLG. You heard it. And everybody's like, corner. They made their move at corner. Now, they're bringing in Amory Thomas on the practice squad. They'll always try to get better on the back end, but that was their big move at corner. You may not agree with it. You may not think he could be a starter. I don't know what evidence you've seen to that, other than he got here on August 5th and he needs some time. But that was their move at corner. And I agree with Howie's assessment. Overall, the position remains a strength because I think they have a bunch of good backups at the bare minimum. But it's going to be hard to replace Slay. It always was going to be hard to replace Slay. And you're probably not going to replace Slay at that level.
No, I agree. What do you think of a thought process like this? I'm going to go to a super chat. Brian Pump, I'll get to your super chats a little bit later on as well. So appreciate everybody for being here. But, I see this a lot amongst the fan base, John. A move at corner for a guy like Tariq Woolen intrigues me more than an edge. What do you think of that? I don't think that that's a move even realistic, but just your thought on trading for.
No, well, that's kind of what I was talking about. No, I think they're much better equipped right now to get through the season at corner than edge. But I don't Tariq Woolen specifically, like why, and I don't cover the Seahawks, so if there's something out there, why are they trading Tariq Woolen? I don't like, to me, that's like a Madden thing. Why would they?
I'm more trying to take the sentiment from it of like, trading for a corner as opposed to trading for an edge, or they might not. They probably.
Oh yeah, and I talked about. To me, it's much. Yeah, they have much bigger need at edge than corner right now. I think they're fine at corner, as Howie said. You have two of the best corners. You have one of the best outside corners in football, who looks like he's ready to have an all-pro level season from his summer. You have arguably the best slot cornerback in football. That's pretty fucking good. Like, no, do you have Darius Slay in the other position? No, but you should be able to persevere with Adoree Jackson or Jacorian Bennett or even Kelee Ringo to get the confidence back. You got a bunch of different options. That is not that big of a need. Edge is a big need. You don't have the best edge rusher. You don't have, in the case of a comparable to Cooper, if you want to even, it's too degrading of his role because his role is so big. But if you want to compare slot corner to third edge rusher, you don't have the best third edge rusher in football. So it's not a good apples to apples comparison. But Nolan's not Quinion at his position, and Jalix or anybody else is not Cooper. So I don't get that sentiment from the Eagles.
I don't disagree. John, what do you think the outlook is for Kelee Ringo this year? Is there any projection that he could get to the field? Does any hope being held out by the organization that he'll come and win the job, or will get acclimated more so, or develop further? Like what do we expect from him now?
Well, now he's got to reset, and I think their expectation is he continues to be, and how he said, continues to be one of the best special teams players in the league, but one of the best gunners, and hopefully he starts to gain confidence. And if he gets another opportunity, and the only way he would is if Bennett bails, probably, then at that point, maybe the confidence is built up a little bit, and maybe he can get back into the conversation. But I don't think he's in the conversation for the starting job right now. I think that'll be Jackson or Bennett if Vic wants to just throw him in the deep end of the pool and see what happens.
Yep, Johnny Mac, good stuff there. As we get a little further along, we'll talk about continue to keep our eyes on that cornerback spot. Let's go to safety, John. Who's the starter week 1 for the safety? Makuba, Sidney Brown. What do you see there?
Well, Makuba's not practicing, so there's your answer. So at least early, it's going to be Sidney Brown. But it's also pretty evident they want to get to Makuba as quickly as possible. But this hamstring has sent him back. Now, if he's not practicing on Sunday, you could rule him out. He's not playing. And then you're going to have to elevate either Andre Sam or Marcus Epps from the practice squad. So my thought there would be Andre, because Marcus just got back. So
right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's not healthy, so that that answers that question.
Sidney Brown's going to be there. We'll see. What's your concern level on Makuba? A couple injuries here through training camp. I mean, I think my concerns with him, John, really aren't on the football field. I think he's going to be a pretty damn good player, but can he stay on the field? I think is a realistic concern.
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, he got 2 injuries in training camp, his first NFL training camp. Now, I've said pretty consistently, Caden said it as well. I don't really care as much about the hamstring, which is what he's going through now, because that stuff happens with bass guys. It happened to AJ. It happened,
right?
A lot of soft tissue injury.
Still something to monitor, though, right? I mean, they can linger.
Well, no, yeah, they can linger, but I don't think that's the concern. Is about his size and holding up. I don't think that's a hamstring injury. It has nothing to do with holding up, is all I'm saying. The shoulder injury. That was contact. That was, I forget who caught the pass on the sideline, but that was simple stuff. And he hurt his shoulder, and he was out for seven days. I think it was six team sessions of practice. He returned per individual for a couple of them at the back end, but he missed 6 consecutive sessions from a team drills perspective. That's the kind of stuff I'm worried about. And that you got to see. And part of it is he plays physically for his size. So people might like that, but if you're trying to take on, and you saw this with Levante Maddox over the years, if you're trying to take on bigger people, you're going to get hurt occasionally.
We'll see what ends up happening there. John, who do you think the starting linebackers are going to be? It's been Trotter a lot of training camp, but Jahad Campbell coming out of the rear view. I think he's going to be the starter. Who do you got week 1 for the linebacking group, John?
Well, it's interesting in individuals because that's all we get to see. Trotter still goes second behind Zach Vaughn. But again, Jahad started taking more of the first team reps toward the end of training camp. I think he's going to be the starter. I wouldn't be shocked if he's not, and he's certainly going to be the starter early in the season. But I do think there's going to be a role for Trotter. I don't think it's going to be Zach's out there every play. He's playing 100% of the snaps, but I think there's going to be a role for Trotter. I don't think Campbell's going to be N'Kobe Dean. So last year, Bond played 100% of the snaps as the dime linebacker, which is very rare. He's going to be that. But I don't think Campbell's going to completely erase Trotter. I think Trotter's going to have a role. And he had a very good summer, at least early in the season. And yeah, it was somewhat notable that he keeps going second, still ahead of Campbell. But I do think Campbell's going to start.
Good stuff there, John. Any other spot on that secondary or that defense that we don't know? Now we know defensive tackles and we know defensive end. John, I guess the last one would be the camp battle was the right guard, but that was solidified.
No battle. Nobody ever took a first team rep except I think Tyler had to take a piss at one point. I think I saw Matt Pryor. Took literally every first team rep.
How you feeling about Steen?
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. I mean, it's for a couple reasons. One, I think he stayed healthy and he's gaining confidence. And 2, look at who's around him. I mean, my God, that's going to help him. He's always been a good run blocker. I think the problem with him, he was a tackle in college, his entire college career, which started at Vanderbilt, ended at Alabama. Every single year, 5-year starter, 5 years at tackle, right tackle, left tackle. So he had a tough time moving inside, a little bit of a learning curve. Now he's more comfortable with it. So I think that helps. The reps help. I think he's fine as a run blocker. The issues are going to be pass protection, and he's going to get tested. everybody knows what the Eagles' offensive line is, and you're not going to take advantage of Lane or Jordan or Landon or Cam. So who are you going to try to take advantage of? So they're going to try to manipulate and try to get matchups with them in pass protection, especially, and that's what you have to keep an eye on. But that is the epitome when I talk about the strength of this team. That is the epitome of rich people problems to worry about Tyler Steen.
It really is. All right, John, good stuff there on the getting ready for this preseason game too. We will set the stage for week 1 coming up in a little bit here. Let me get to some super chats here. James M again. Thank you, James, for the 2 supers today. Brian Pump getting to you next. He says, is there a chance at all a BG return if, say, by week 6 we see nothing at edge? Kind of out there, but I could see it. I don't see it, but
no, I don't see it. No. They're probably going to go outside the organization, but no, he's not coming back. There's always that talk.
Well, I think there's always the natural inclination to go there, but I
Fletcher's not. I haven't seen BG a lot. He showed up once at practice at training camp, which I'm surprised. He's doing a lot of stuff. I saw he got one media gig. I don't know if it's NFL Network or what. So he's already moving on. Now, when I did see him, he didn't lose like you knew right away Kelsey wasn't coming back. You knew right away Fletch wasn't coming back because they lost a boatload of weight.
Yeah, right. Fletcher's he's up to a lot of great things. He's doing racing and hunting and all sorts of good things.
Yeah. And he's there a lot. Fletch is there. Fletch was there a bunch of training. Like Kelsey's always there.
Fletch is a cool ass dude, man. I like Fletch.
Yeah, Kelsey's always there to the point where, it's like you got other stuff to do, dude. He's always there. But he lost so much weight. You knew he wasn't coming back. Same with Fletch. I don't think Brandon's gotten to that point yet, but yeah, I would not count on him being back.
Good stuff, James M. Thank you, brother. Let's go to Matt NG. Says, piggyback on that super chat. When do you move off of Sidney Brown if Makuba becomes unserviceable?
Why would Makuba become unserviceable?
I'm failing.
I don't know. I guess I don't understand the question.
Yeah,
you're moving off.
When do you move off of
Sidney? Why would you move off Sidney if Makuba's unserviceable? I guess I don't know. We need some.
Okay, he says he's not bought in on either.
Oh, well, that's fine. I mean, it's hard to buy in on either. They're both unproven. So.
Well, where are you going to move, Matt? I mean, if they both stink.
I mean, I guess that's why Marcus Epps is here.
Yeah.
And you have to see if Marcus is healthy. And, he was a competent safety. He started 20 consecutive games for a Super Bowl team. That was what? Second in passing defense or first? 1 or 2. I forget what they were at this stage, but they were 1 or 2. I mean, your hope is he's healthy and he's ready to help at some point. But yeah, that would be not a good situation for the Eagles if both failed. I mean, yeah, then you're up. You're just pretty much hoping the insurance policy
is going to fail. I just think I'm just concerned about him holding up. That's it with him. I think he's going to be a good player.
Yeah, I mean he's got coverage ability, and that's what the Eagles want. So yeah. I don't think he's
going to get him in the right positions.
I don't think he's going to fail. I am concerned about him holding up, though.
Yeah, that's fair. Brian Pumper checks in. What's up, Pump? He says, J-Mac, how do you feel about my short king, Willie Lampkin? Also, why we watch the Raiders' 28th passing defense and say we need 2 of those guys? Baffling.
Well, there's good players on bad teams. I say it all the time.
It's just funny the way Pumper words shit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't – you can look at, again, whoever you think is the worst team, like – I still argue that probably the best pure football player in the world is Myles Garrett, and he was on a 3 or 4 win team, whatever Cleveland won. So yeah. I mean, you can't look at a team grade and say this guy stinks. A lot of guys do stink, but especially if you're a corner. You know, a lot of times you're not even involved in the play if they're looking the other direction. Now, Bennett, had pretty good grades last year in limited time, similar to Isaiah Rodgers. You know, you're evaluating the player, you're not evaluating the team. So it's not like if you're a good team, the Eagles don't just ignore Carolina and the Raiders. I mean, they think Byron Young can play, and they got Byron Young off waivers from the Raiders. Yeah, you can't approach it like that. You're going to miss a lot of good players. Just every team in the NFL has good players.
Yeah. Brian Pump follows up. What up, Pump? Oh, wait. Your thoughts on Lampkin? Just the first part of his question.
Yeah, I mean, he's so short, it's going to be difficult for him. But, you know, was a great college player. But yeah, I think he's up against it from a physical. We were talking to Tyler Steen, and we were asking if he met Lampkin. Yes. By the way, nobody's more excited about Willie Lampkin being here than Ed Kratz, who I was trying to get on this morning, but he's got car dealership issues.
Ed Kratz is one of the busiest men in the country. This guy, Ed Kratz.
Yeah, he's always got something. He's just bullshitting me. He's probably didn't want to get up. But,
yeah, that's right.
So Ed's a high school wrestling coach, and he's a former wrestler himself, so he loves wrestlers. And Willie was a state champion wrestler.
That's a tight knit community, John. The wrestling community.
You can tell he looks like a wrestler. He's got the big the big ass and the leverage, and he was a state champion. So nobody's happier than Ed that he's here. You don't see too many 5'10" and a half NFL offensive lineman, but he is intriguing. He was a great college player. You know, he played left tackle at Coastal Carolina. And Stoutland likes him, and he's here, and we're going to see how it works out, but really small.
You put out a picture of him yesterday. Let me see if I can pull it up on who was that he was next to in that picture?
Joe Douglas, I think. I forget when I got him. I think it was Joe.
Let me see if I can find the photo. I'll pull it up on the screen. He is definitely a smaller dude. I mean, he's noticeably – there he is. Let me get this picture up so you guys can see Willie Lampkin. He does look like a wrestler, even just in this shot right here.
Yeah, he was a state champion in high school.
Right,
and he almost quit football. That's Joe. He almost quit football for wrestling. He was so good at it. So, but he was really good at football too. But yeah, I mean, he's just really small.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a battle for him. He might be a really good player, but his biggest hurdle in his career is going to be his size. But good stuff from Willie Lampkin right there. Pump, thanks for the super chat, brother. One more from Brian Pumper. He says, Green Bay was actually good at slowing Saquon down last year because Clark was good at two-gapping. What now? Their best cornerback was a Raider last year, 28th passing D.
I know we're going the same route. Wasn't Las Vegas 28th? Did they tie at 28th? I don't know.
No, he's saying that did the Green Bay get the Raiders' best corner?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, Pumper. I mean,
what's your thoughts on the run defense?
Kenny Clark, like I think a lot of fans believe that teams in this league are going to change their philosophy because of the Eagles' success. And I don't think that's going to happen. Too few teams play the way the Eagles do. I've always compared it to Navy or teams that play triple option in college. And every once in a while, if you're playing somebody like that, they'll make you look like shit. And, a lot of fans get up in their arms about their favorite college football team, and they say, well, why aren't you preparing for Navy? Because why would you? You can't spend extra time because nobody else plays that way.
Right.
So, Philadelphia and Baltimore, most notably, two of the best teams in the NFL. You could argue the two best teams if you want, potential Super Bowl matchup. But the vast majority of the league still thinks that the way to win consistently is throwing the football in this league. And to be honest, I think the Eagles still think that, at least at the top, from the top on down, because they know the margin of error decreases if you don't play that well. But they proved you can win that way, and they're going to ride the generational running back until they can't ride him anymore. And then when they lose them, they'll probably go back to the way they were before. But I think most of the league still thinks you're doing us a favor by running the football. So
I don't know how they could think that after watching the Eagles do what they did last year.
it's because, again, it's about the larger, you're playing the odds. It's about the larger perspective.
But the Eagles proved, like, if there's a team good enough to slice through it, and you have to be good enough. You have to have the offensive line. You have to have the running back. You have to have the
Well, that's the second part. You can't. It's a not even a multi-year. It's a 5 to 10 decade long approach to build up to the point where you can play this way.
That's true. But if you get the Eagles at the wrong time and their offensive line's healthy and Saquon Barkley's running the way they're going to slice you up.
Well, yeah, they won the Super Bowl, but I'm saying you have to look at it. You have to look at it from another team's perspective.
Yeah, I got you.
Like, they're worried about 16 other games.
Right. Well, which I get from a perspective of you're not going to take that approach for your organization, but shouldn't you plan on? I mean, that's the team that's going to.
Well, you can't, again, and especially if you're not in your division. And by the way, Kenny Clark was a great player, but he's descending post 30, number one, post 30 player. They're preparing for Detroit and Minnesota and Chicago more than they're preparing for the Eagles. So you can make an argument, and Jerry did it, and Jerry's a moron. Well, let me get a run-stopping defensive tackle to deal with the Eagles. That's a moronic approach to give up your best player. Even though the Eagles are in your division and won the way they won, it's still a dumb, borderline, incredibly stupid approach to things. But that's what he was trying to sell. I don't know if he believes it, but that's what he was trying to sell yesterday. Yeah, it doesn't make sense at any level. And that's part of the advantage the Eagles have, because I think everybody thinks they're going to be hyper-focused. Nobody is, with a few exceptions. Steve, by the way, Steve did it in the Super Bowl, was successful, and it worked horribly. Horribly. But he stopped the run, and it worked horribly.
That's the beauty of the Eagles, there, John. It's the beauty. Take away Saquon, we still got what we need.
Well, so why are people assuming that? No offense to the Chiefs, but they played the Eagles worse than everybody else.
Yeah, right. So why would you assume taking away the run will work? Well, I guess it's fair to say that, but I think what teams are focusing on, and I don't think they're rightfully focusing on it, but is that they think Jalen's still a streaky passer. And that's the only reason I could think of, right? I mean, why else would you want the Eagles to pass when they have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert? I mean, it's got to be the quarterback. Now, I don't believe that, but I'm assuming I'd rather Jalen beat me than Saquon. I don't know.
That's one of those narratives, but I don't think it's borne out by the facts. Other than Steve Spagnuolo failing miserably in the Super Bowl.
Right. Nobody else did that. So I think the assumption that, like, there's this whole cottage industry of disrespect around Jalen Hurts, that people think Jalen Hurts is disrespected. Inside the league, it's the exact opposite.
The exact, like 180 degrees. Like everybody knows what a pain in the ass that guy is to deal with inside the league. Now, when you talk about these executive, and I've said it a million times, I think if people started thinking about it from the other perspective, which is hard because they're all Eagles fans, what they're saying when they say insert quarterback, I'd rather have him for my team because I don't play that way, nor am I going to play that way that the Eagles play because I can't, number one, and I can't invest 8 years in an offensive lineman. I'm going to lose my job. You know, the one thing, the advantage that Jerry Jones has for trading Micah Parsons, he knows he's not getting fired. Every other GM's getting fired. So, you know, there's a lot of context to it, but one of the dumbest narratives of all is that people in the NFL disrespect Jalen Hurts. It's 180 degrees the opposite. 180 degrees. I'm not talking about scripting talking heads. I'm talking about people who have to stop him. You heard Spagnuolo.
Defensive coordinators and real players and real coaches, real teams.
You heard Steve Spagnuolo talk about it. We did everything we wanted to do, and he gassed us. You know.
That's
so
big. That's big right there.
So yeah, I don't think a lot of people are going to be in line to copy Steve's game plan.
Well, if you look at the result, John, that would tell you you're going to be correct. John, let's get into the injuries as we get ready for week 1 now, 6 days away. We'll have probably more updates on this as we get closer to game time, but Landon's been obviously had the meniscus surgery. A.J. Brown has been dealing with the hamstring, a couple other injuries that have been lingering throughout training camp. Where do you think we are on most of them? Let's start with Landon Dickerson for week 1. Do you think he's going to be out there week 1, 6 days from today, John?
Yeah, I think so. You know, he was back out there. We weren't allowed to take video. Evidently, they were not happy about all the Landon Dickerson video out there on Wednesday.
Oh, my gosh. They are
Thursday. Could you not take video of the outfit? Yeah, he was back out there. So that was the one concern. Like, all right, back-to-back days. Is he going to be back out there? He was back out there. So everything is trending in a positive direction. Now, again, you have these 2 days off. How does he feel? I think Sunday will be more indicative, but everything points to him playing. And AJ, there was never any question. He was going to play, and he's going to play, and Devontae's going to play. And now, again, somebody can get hurt in practice. It happens,
but the main one right now is really just seems to be Makuba, and then just the eyes on Dickerson, kind of.
Yeah. Only because Dickerson, you know, he's got a big sleeve on his leg, so you know he's coming off surgery. So,
what's your thoughts on Nolan?
On who?
Nolan.
Yeah, he's out there. He looks always a little bit of concern from his shoulder. But,
well, I mean, you heard that Vic Fangio comment earlier this summer. Oh, I didn't put him on the other side with the shoulder. I'm like, shit, I don't want to be hearing that, man.
Well, then he did.
Remember, everybody's telling me I'm crazy for wanting Trayvon Walker, and that guy's supposed to be our one. Come on, guys. We need a reliable edge.
Well, it was funny. He did it the next day then. So, you know, he probably caught himself and said, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. And he did it the next day. So, I mean, well, that dates back to his rookie season when he gave us that weird quote about his shoulder. It's my baby. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So he's got some kind of degenerative shoulder condition, and occasionally he's got to put on a harness and things like that. So, yeah, that's factored into my long-term, you know, is he going to be Nolan Smith for 20 games? We're going to see.
Yeah. Get me Trayvon Walker, John. Come on, man. I don't think it's happening. I'm just messing around. Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. 20 minutes left in the show today. Great Football Friday. I want to thank everybody for being here today. Hit that like button. We've had great viewership all week long. So I want to thank everybody for making the channel grow. We got a lot of fun, good things happening as well here on the channel. So stay locked in and appreciate everybody for being here. John will close it out here in the last 20 minutes of our show. Just kind of recap where we were, how the off season finalized. And again, that crazy trade yesterday, that ripple effect of the Micah Parsons trade, still shocked me. I woke up smiling, John, just like at the thought that it happened, that the Cowboys are.
I'm the exact opposite, man. Keep them in Dallas.
Well, I agree with you on that. I said that right when it happened, but I still think it's funny that the Dallas Cowboys operate the way they do.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, there's a segment of Eagles fans that enjoy the Cowboys' misery more than the Eagles winning. But I think long term, if you want the Eagles to win, this is a worse scenario, because this props up Green Bay, and you might have to see Green Bay in the playoffs. And all of a sudden that becomes your bigger rival if it's the playoffs, because you're gonna beat up on the Cowboys.
Yeah. I'm having a hard time buying into Jordan Love. I'm sorry.
Well, that's fine, but I look at the team.
Team is good. There's no doubt. And Jordan Love's he's a capable player, but is he going to be
more than capable?
Yeah, he's good.
He makes throws that very few other people can make.
Where do you have him? Is he a top 10 quarterback to you?
He's right there on the cusp of 10 after he didn't have a good season. No stretch. But again, a lot of that is you're playing behind a lot. They're trying to come back. The turnovers, he pushes it too much. He takes too many chances. If they start, if they're ahead 14-0 early, and they start playing more conservatively, all of a sudden those turnovers dissipate. Look, playing from the lead is everybody's goal for a reason. It is much easier to play from the lead than play from behind.
Partly why I want to get that defense better. I know you say, hey, if they try and take away Saquon, it's not going to work, but I don't know. It's one of the reasons.
I didn't say if they try to take away Saquon, it's not going to work. I said nobody's going to copy what Steve Spagnuolo
I'm
did.
just saying, how much of that equation, how much of that result was a product of how good the defense was?
I talk all the time. The defense was the more important part of that Super Bowl.
That's why I'm saying, shit.
But the Eagles' defensive decisions were based on timing and than anything else. The offense is, again, the business. I realize people don't like talking about it, but look at their offense. Jaylen Hurts paid. Saquon Barkley paid. A.J. Brown paid. Devontae Smith paid. Jahan Dotson, first-round pick, even to the extent of being on a rookie contract, still paid from that perspective. Dallas Goedert paid, even though he's still a $10 million player, even taking a pay cut. Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens. The only one who isn't paid is Tyler Steen. Something's got to pay for that. And what pays for that is defense.
Well, and then we can assess how that affects the team.
Because of timing. Not than anything else, because they're going to pay Jalen Carter, and they're going to pay Nolan Smith if he has a big year, and they're going to pay Quinyon down the road, and they're going to pay Cooper down the road, and maybe Jahad Campbell if you want to even look down the road further if he turns out. They're going to pay all those guys, and then it's going to have to shift, and then you're going to be complaining about the offense. Now, if Lane Johnson retires after this season, which unfortunately he seems to keep talking about that because he knows he's going to the Hall of Fame now, and you're struggling through life with Cam Williams, you're going to be bitching about that on a rookie deal, and that's how things are going to shift. And it's coming, so be prepared for it. It will shift. But the timing right now, the offensive guys are getting paid, so the defensive guys had to go elsewhere to get paid.
We'll
And they
see.
all got paid, by the way.
I know. Listen, we'll see what happens, though. I think there needs to be a little bit of a better balance, especially when your defense plays as big of a part.
Well, who are you getting ready? Who do you want to sacrifice on offense? Say you want Josh Sweat back or Milton Williams back. Who are you going to sacrifice?
Do they physically not have the money right now if they wanted to trade for Trayvon Walker and give him $28 million a year?
Well, no, they can do whatever they want. They don't want to do that from the standpoint of
Cash, right?
Well, no, I mean they have the cash. They can do whatever they want at any point by manipulating the salary cap.
Right, which is why I'm saying going.
Well, which is where I always talk about their demarcation line. So they have guys above it, and they have guys below it, and they have some really, really good guys below it, like Milton and Josh. And you really think Trayvon Walker is going to be above that? No, he's not. They're not paying him. Now, if we're 4 games in, and the Eagles are 2-2, and the edge rushers look like garbage,
Yeah,
things can change quickly.
you're stuck on your boy Ebiketie. I can see it in your eyes, John. You want Ebiketie.
I didn't even know if Atlanta wants to get rid of him. That was just because they drafted 2 pass rushers. Maybe he's too good for
Were
them.
there any names you did hear, like report-wise?
No. It's more like and that's why you try to factor in the Jacorian Bennett's of the world. You're trying to look for that guy on the back end of their rookie deal that might be available, but you're not in other buildings. So it's very hard to there's very little, but somebody even when you draft 2 guys, there's no real need for Atlanta to get rid of a player like that. It's still it's almost like a luxury on his rookie deal. So you really got to find the wheelhouse of a team that maybe has a new regime and has given up on a player and doesn't have that loyalty to the player they drafted. It's not as easy as just going out and getting Micah Parsons. And everybody knows is a great player. And those aren't the position. We went through this with Myles Garrett. To Howie's credit, we love the player. We're not in a position to do it right now. Now, Micah, like I said, even Jerry wouldn't trade him to the Eagles. I don't believe, but they wouldn't have been in a position to do it anyway.
Good stuff. Couple super chats. Let's get to them here. Brian Pump says, "Cut the crap, J-Mac. We know why you are mad at the Parsons trade." JJ McCarthy, say hello, Micah. 2 games.
Well, I thought, but thank God Pumper's here because I thought I was going to get, because I get a lot of, I'm a Packers fan too, because I know a lot about the Packers for the same reason I know a lot about the Vikings. And actually, I talk much more highly about the Packers. But yeah, God bless Pump.
Pump, appreciate you. Here he goes again. He says, J-Mac got hit with the gold dust specialty, shattered dreams. Micah is in the north. Skull, skull, skull.
Yeah.
Boy, they're really stuck on you being a Packer fan. I'm like, if you knew John, I don't think you would think he was a Packer fan. He didn't give a shit. I don't think you.
Vikings fan. He's got Vikings fan. I get a lot of
Vikings fan. That's what I meant.
Yeah, I got the receipts of all the people think I'm a Packers fan because I love Favre and I love Rodgers. I say
you were right to point out 35 years straight of Hall of Fame quarterback play is pretty unprecedented.
Yeah, I consistently for many years said no one has ever played the position at a higher level than Aaron Rodgers at his highest level. So I get a lot of that with the Packers too. But Pumper's loyal to his shtick, even when his shtick doesn't work.
He's like Jerry. You almost got to tip the cap. I mean, if you can stay loyal to your shtick despite when everything is crumbling around.
Commitment to the bit, like Jerry Jones. Commitment to the bit.
Exactly.
Well, presumably, I think Pumper's an Eagles fan, right?
I don't know. He says he is, but I'm not really sure. I'm not sure.
Presumably, yeah. You're the one worried about it. I don't give a rat's ass where Micah plays.
All the Pumper comments you've read over the years,
Other than Mike is a phenomenal player, which I've said also consistently.
What'd you think of the contract size? Because I knew he was getting paid a lot, but holy shit.
I knew he's going to be the
highest paid. $7 million more per year than fucking Myles Garrett.
Well, it's not. It's really 43. I think it's really 1 million more, but from the fake contract numbers. Although his agent pushed back and said, "Wait till you see it. There's no fluff." So we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. But I have said pretty consistently that Micah Parsons is a great player, and all the you can't do this, you can't do that. And I've said more than anything else, I would have wished that the Eagles got him just to see these frauds change overnight because he's that good.
Well, the only thing I've ever debated you on was the generational tag, because I think that tag gets thrown around.
He is a generational pass rusher, and I said it on the Cowboys. I'll say it now that he's on the Packers. I'd say it if he was in Philadelphia. I'd say it if he was on Mars. It doesn't change. So the fact that people like Pumper think I root for this team or think I'm worried about this, I don't give a rat's ass who wins, who loses, who's playing for who. I appreciate greatness. I appreciate Aaron Rodgers in his prime. I appreciate Micah Parsons in his prime. I appreciate what Saquon Barkley did last year. I got to see Adrian Peterson up close. I got to see Randy Moss up close. I got to see Jason Kelsey. I got to see Fletcher Cox. I got to see Slay. If you're paying attention, you know how I talk about all those players, no matter what uniform they're wearing.
That's true. I agree with that, John. And by the way, the numbers on Micah Parsons, they back it up. I mean, not that you need number backing, but he was the most double-teamed edge rusher in football last year with 31.5% double teams, and he led the league in pressure rate. I mean, that is insane.
He is unblockable to the point that the coach with the best offensive line in football says, if you can't block him, read him. He is unblockable.
Yeah,
and there are only two people that I've said that about. Aaron Donald is another guy, and that I talk about all the time, and Micah Parsons. Unblockable. And for all the Eagles fans, I think he's got whatever games, he's got like 5 sacks against the, which is crazy, because they stop everybody. But they can't block him. And it's self-acknowledged. But sure, he sucks.
Yeah. No, I don't think he sucks at all. No way about that. All right, Johnny Mac, last couple minutes here on the show, getting ready for that game next week. We'll have a good game day week. It is Labor Day on Monday, so I don't think we're going to have – the Eagles practice on Monday? What's the deal?
Yeah, they practice.
All right, so
they're playing on Thursday, man. There ain't no Labor Day
in NFL. I know. I believe
we got, and I'm already getting heat on the home front. I go, what do you want me to do? The game's on Thursday. They're practicing.
I hear you. Believe me, I'll be working. Don't you worry.
Coordinator day.
Good stuff. What is the schedule for the next week now? Because we are within a week.
I don't have the schedule other than they're practicing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, walkthrough Wednesday, game Thursday. So I don't have the times of the practices.
And I think the game is 8:20. I think.
Oh my God, that's tonight. Come on, NFL. Everybody's shifting. 6:30. Phillies game starts. Whatever. I mean, what is this 8:20 nonsense? Can we scale it back an hour, NFL?
You need Central Time. That's what you got. You got to move to Texas and live in Central Time, Johnny.
I
Man.
lived in Central Time for many
nice.
years, and yes, it's
It was
nice.
Yeah, it is.
It's nice.
I lived there for a couple of years for sure. Texas time is nice. Central time is nice because everything is back, and those East Coast times are late, no doubt. But banner drops a week from today, or 6 days from today, excuse me, with that game coming in. John, how have your expectations, how have your thoughts on the team coming into the year shifted throughout the last month with training camp and the preseason and everything done and dusted?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, top 20, as good as anybody. After that, a little bit worse than I expected, to be honest. And I think that's borne out by their actions and churn, trying to get people in who are a little bit better, incrementally better. So not much has changed, but as long as they're healthy, they're in the conversation. Unfortunately, another team entered the conversation, and I think the Green Bay Packers are going to be a handful.
You do, huh?
Yep, I think they're going to be a handful.
Who do you think wins the North?
Well, I still think Detroit's the most talented team, but you know, that 2 coordinator changes, that's a concern. They're not, more Ben Johnson than Aaron Glenn. Not that Aaron Glenn was bad, but Ben Johnson's tough to duplicate as an offensive coordinator. I think he was the best offensive coordinator in football. I don't know what he's going to be as a head coach, but I think he was the best offensive coordinator in football. He truly was a guy who, maybe to a fault, I was watching Quarterback on Netflix real quick. I don't want to go on a long tangent, and they were showing the loss to Washington, and I had forgotten they ran a trick play. They were coming back. If they scored, they'd be right. And they ran a trick. And that stuff bites you in the ass, man. And they don't need to run. So it depends but he was very inventive for people that like creativity. And I think it was Jameson Williams threw the ball. It's like, don't put the damn ball with your season on the line in Jameson Williams' hands. That to me is insanity.
Yeah, that's just stupid. That's going too far.
But anyway, overall,
how much do you think he helped Jared Goff, though? Because Jared Goff, look, I think Jared Goff's an underrated player, actually. Very accurate, puts the ball in tight windows consistently.
Most accurate quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, he's a if you really watch, his accuracy is crazy.
Well,
look, how much do you think he dropped off?
Well, I think it's more the offensive line. Like they've been, and they lose Frank Ragnow, so that's a concern.
That's a huge.
But they've been, some teams would say they had a better offensive line. I was defer to Stoutland. I think but it was 1-2 either way, offensive lines. And when he's clean, Jared Goff, whew, but obviously, if you get him sped up, if you get him off his spots, not nearly as effective. He's not nearly as effective as some guys off schedule, but there's not a more accurate quarterback in the league when he's kept clean. So when he's kept clean, you're in trouble. And we'll have to see what their offensive line. But right now, I shifted to the Packers. I think the Packers are going to win that division. I think the Packers are a legitimate Super Bowl contender. And I think people are going to rue the day if the NFC Championship game comes and Micah Parsons is the reason the Eagles have a great season that people do not recognize because they didn't win the Super Bowl.
Well, we got Lane John. We are better equipped to handle him wherever he lines up with everyone.
And we'll see what they do, but they'll move him around too. I mean, he's not going to be stationary. There's a guy who can move up and down the line.
Yeah.
And my presumption is they will take advantage of it. And I'm presuming that because they're a smart organization and they generally do things the right way. And now you have a generational player. And yes, I hate that term, and I use that term to describe that player for a reason. Now you have a generational player in a situation where they're probably going to take advantage of it. Similar to Saquon Barkley here.
Exactly. maybe not to the same level, but I do think you're right. He's definitely gonna. I said that yesterday when someone said, "Oh, this was like," it was funny because we were talking about the Micah rumors right before the trade happened. So we had like 40 minutes of conversation about if the Eagles went for him, what they would have to give up, and it's just like. I projected anybody that comes to the Eagles as an edge rusher will be better in Philly with Vic Fangio and with Jalen Carter next to him than they will be wherever they're coming from. Same with Trayvon Walker.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's fair with Vic. That's fair. Not always. I mean, it doesn't happen always when you're talking about lesser play. Bryce right. Is a perfect example, but
but Bryce doesn't.
But with truly great players,
yeah.
And I don't think Walker hits that level.
Not yet, but he's 24. I mean, he's got time now.
With truly great players, yeah, Vic's gonna get more out of them. Even if it doesn't look so statistically, he's going to get more out of them as a well-rounded player. He's generally going to get more out of them. I think that's fair to say. That's, two with specific. Vic and Jeff Stoutland, I would say, are the two specific guys that probably going to get more out of people than just about anybody else.
Johnny Mac, great week of shows this week. Had great viewership. I want to thank everybody for being here. Hit that like button for us, guy. I don't know what we're up to on the likes, but we should be getting way up there. We should start getting 200 a show minimum. Come on, everybody. Smash that like button. Johnny Mac, your final thoughts, not only here on a Football Friday, but on this week of football, the last one before the regular season. Your final thoughts, J-Mac.
How about them Cowboys? That's my final thoughts. Enjoy Jerry Jones. Enjoy Jerry Jones, all the Cowboys fans.
Yeah, he's a moron. All right, John. Great stuff, man. Appreciate you doing it. We'll talk to you again pretty soon. All right, man?
All right, thanks all.
All right, thanks, Johnny Mac. There's John joining us here on Birds 365. Follow him at JF McMullen. You can follow me at Zander Krause. Great show today, everybody. Great show today. Holy moly, 6 days out. Can you believe it? 6 days out. Look at this Nimrod. JD3 says, Trayvon Walker count is up to 54. Yeah, and if you ran the fucking show, it'd be a Harrison Bryant count up to 54. And then you wouldn't have any viewers left, JD3. You sit back, kick your feet up, pour yourself an ice cold seltzer or beer or water, whatever the hell it is you drink, Gatorade or whatever it is, all right? And enjoy the show, JD3. Ain't nobody want to hear from you more than in the chat. Good night. Here we go. Resident Packer fan is here. Here we go. Not to be Dak Prescott. Here we go. Ken James is here. The Packers are cooked, my friend. The Packers are fucking cooked, Ken. The Packers are cooked. You paid for it. You overpaid. He's a great player, but you overpaid. 47's a little steep. I'm happy to see a Packer fan in, though. What is your outlook, Ken? How excited are you today, Ken? How excited are you? Come on, man. You got to be pumped. If I was a Packers fan, I'd be pumped. I got to be honest. I would. I can't knock a Packer fan right now for being excited. I always say as fans, we can't control everything, but at the very least, you want to know that your team is trying to win, as a fan. You want to feel like your team is trying to win. I think having Howie as our GM, we always feel like we're trying to win, which is a nice thing. But, you wake up as a Packer fan today, you got to be feeling good. You know what I'm saying? You got to be feeling pretty good. So here's my boy Vulnerable Vitality with a $20 super chat. Thank you, Vitality. He says, sent you a DM. I will check it out. I didn't see it yet. Sent you a DM about non-Eagles related. Josiah Trotter balled out last night for the Tigers, Missouri. His axe chop was euphoric. Miz and go Birds. You are the biggest Missouri fan I know, Vulnerable Vitality. That's pretty cool, though. Let me look that up. Josiah Trotter. How old is Josiah Trotter? Geez, he looks like a Trotter too, man. They all look like their pop. That's pretty cool. 20 years old. Missouri. Where's the chop? Let me find the chop. Vulnerable. Axe chop. Did he do it too? Josiah, it's not on social, or it's not on my search results. All right. Not on my search results, but that's pretty good stuff. Curtis says Z doesn't believe in that overpaid shit. He's bullshit. Curtis, you know me too well. You know, I always get a kick out of fucking fans of football who want to be accountants. If you wanted to be an accountant, go work on Wall Street. Get out. What do you mean a football fan worried? Oh my God, the cap. What are we going to do? The cap. Man, let Howie figure that shit out. What are you talking about? I want good players. I'm a football fan. I'm not a cap specialist. Oh my God, how could they pay him that? What are they going to do about the cap space? Everybody said we weren't going to pay AJ and Devontae. Everybody said we couldn't pay Saquon Barkley. Everybody said we couldn't pay Jalen Hurts with all these guys. Everybody said we couldn't pay all the offensive line. I mean, come on. Let Howie deal with the cap, and we can be fans. So you're right, Curtis. Good call out by you. Good call out by you. Where'd the Packer fan go? I wanted to hear what this Nimrod what he thought. I wanted to hear what he thought of the Packers getting Micah Parsons. Guy came in, left some laughing emojis, and dipped. Come on, Ken. Where'd you go, Ken? What, you couldn't handle the Thunderdome, Ken? Holy shit. I got to go. I got a meeting at 10:30 again. Good meetings happening right now for JAKIB Sports, all right? Good meeting, so I got to get out of here pretty soon. Crazy Chunky says cap nerds. I know, they're all over the place. Sig Lord says the cap. Okay, just sent you the Axe chat. Let me check it out, Vulnerable. I don't get notifications from X, so I don't really see. Oh, I see it. Oh, that's fire. That's fire. Oh, good play, too. Got the guy, it looks like, behind the line of scrimmage. Oh, that's dope. That's dope. Vitality, that's dope. That's a good send. That's a good send. Shout out to you for having a trotter on your squad. All right. Don't let Zeal shit on your thunder. Josiah Trotter is not that good. It's not the point, Zeal. Let the fucking Missouri and Eagle fan enjoy an axe chop when he sees it on the field for his team. It's euphoric, like he said. His favorite team's the Eagles, Jeremiah Trotter, and now he's got a Trotter playing for his favorite college. Zeal. Holy, what are you, 84 today, Zeal? You're aging yourself. You're like curmudgeon squared. Holy shit. Look at this numbnuts. JD3 says, Harrison Bryant started for his Browns. All right, JD3. If you ran a show, you'd have 0 listeners. Riding the bench says, no doubt, Green Bay took a big swing for an excellent player, but styles make fights. Can they stop the run of Philadelphia, Detroit, San Francisco, or LA? I don't think so. I think you're right. I think you're right. Okay? I do. I think you're right. I think it's a good take by you. JD3. And your favorite tight end is a fucking practice squad player, you fucking stooge. Your favorite player is a practice squad tight end. He couldn't even beat out Kylan Granson. He couldn't even beat out Kylan Granson and E.J. Jenkins. What's that say about you, numbnuts? What's that say about you? He couldn't beat out E.J. Jenkins and Kylan Granson. And you're worried to me. You're talking to me about a rookie quarterback. Give him time. Give Shedeur a little bit of time. Harrison Bryant's had plenty. He's done shit. He didn't make the 53 here, JD. I know you live in Browns land, a team that sucks ass. How about making a better team? Dork. He made the 53. He didn't beat out E.J. Jenkins. He didn't beat out Kylan Granson. Oh, and now you're going, he made the 53. No, he didn't. That's why he's there. He was getting cut. JD, wake up and smell the roses, little guy. Wake up and smell the fucking roses. Big Mike says, Zander out here. I didn't even want to roast people today. I did. You know, some days I'm like, I'm going to roast some people today. I didn't even want to roast people. JD is a certified dumbass. Love you, JD. But you are stupid. All right. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff, everybody. 6 days out. Can you believe it, guys? I'm really jacked up. I got to be honest. I am just super pumped to the gills for everything that's about to unfold this year. You know, it's all speculation right now. It's all hearsay. It's all future projections. It's all a load of JD3 filled bullshit. In 6 days, though, the real games start, and we can analyze real football and actually put some real data, some real context to what we're talking about. Okay? Some real context. JD acted like Jared Jones and Chet. All right? JD's off his rocker today. Kurt is calling you out. He says, still remember JD3's original take that started this. He thought he could be a tight end 3 and a blocking back. Yeah, how about tight end 6? How about tight end 6? Kylan Granson, nope. EJ Jenkins, nope. Nick Muse, nope. Fucking guy sucked. This guy JD3 can't analyze talent if his life depended on it. All right. Chip Tooth. What up, Chip Tooth? He checks in. I was thinking last night and it hit me. Micah Parsons is a generational player. John's still on that. I think he's really fucking good. Generational, just, I don't know, that word, it just feels to me like it should be more reserved. Like, I think Micah's one of the best players in football. But, like, Myles Garrett is the generational guy in football right now. Patrick Mahomes is probably the generational quarterback. And you could maybe make an argument for a guy like Lamar just because of the skill set. But I don't know. I just feel like that gets thrown around a little bit. You know? Aaron Donald was generational. Fletcher Cox is a great defensive tackle. It wasn't generational. And we love Fletcher Cox. I don't know. I feel like it just gets thrown around a lot. I know you're making a joke. I'm just using it to discuss. He is a hell of a pass rusher, Twiz. All right? Hell of a pass rusher for sure. Here's Deshae. Zander, neither team got better. The Packers' secondary stinks. They do, but they still got better. I mean, just because their secondary stinks doesn't mean they didn't get better, Deshae. They added Micah Parsons, dude. They got better. I mean, come on, Deshae. I mean, you can maybe make an argument that they didn't get that much better because their secondary blows, but they still got better as compared to where they were. See this now. See Slag. This is why I love Slagger. The guy makes you think. He says, "Who's a better player at his positions, Parsons or Lane Johnson?" I probably have to go Lane Johnson, right? Lane Johnson, right? Lane Johnson's a Hall of Fame right tackle. I don't know. What do you think, Slag? Be curious to hear your take on that. Look, now JD3 is making up quotes about me. Trayvon Walker is generational. Again, sit back on the couch, on the sofa, smoke a little weed, drink a little wine, do whatever the hell it is you do, JD3. Continue to live in delusion land and enjoy the fucking show. Okay? Until then, we don't want to hear from you. Until then, you're done. You're dusted. You're on the scrap heap. You're out the pasture. Slagger, I'm with you. I say Lane. Yeah, I say Lane too. Cecile says right now it's Lane. Yeah, I agree. Deshae says Shadur and Shiloh Sanders will be Cowboys next season. Deion will be their head coach. Deion still lives in Texas. Maybe. Deshae, the biggest thing with that is I don't think Jerry could handle Deion being a bigger star than him. Think about it. He couldn't even handle Micah Parsons trying to say, talk to my agent. Is he going to handle Deion as a head coach? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to know what JD3 does on his couch. People call themselves JD and couches. Perfect timing. JD, you're on the shit list today. Who else made the shit list? Somebody was on my shit list yesterday. Who was it? It wasn't a shitty guy. It was someone was on my shit list that isn't normally on my shit list. Lamar. Yes, I have. I just have wait. We should talk about that right now before I go. I got this meeting coming up in 17 minutes, so I got to get out of here. But Zander, you haven't said if you're doing giveaway this year. All right, let's just make the blanket comment. In seasons, I'm always going to do giveaways, assuming I have members and I get super chats. Okay? If we get members and we get super chats, which, by the way, have been a little slacking, that's okay. We will be doing giveaways. Now, what we haven't set yet is last year we had like a trigger. Saquon, 125 yards, we did a giveaway. Now, I gave away so many more jerseys than that Saquon giveaway last year. It almost felt like that was inconsequential because I gave away 75 jerseys last year. Only like 10 of them were the Saquon giveaway. So it wasn't really. You guys are funny. We're doing giveaways, Lamar. Wake up and smell the roses, kid. And are you a member? He's a member. All right, he's a member. Deshay's not a member. JD3. Oh my God. Defend your bestie. JD3, why are you mad at everyone else that you've had some of the worst football takes known to man? You are legitimately below Brian Pumper right now this offseason. You better hope Tyler Steen pans out, because if he doesn't pan out, holy shit, you're going to be Brian Pumper will be in a different league. Brian Pumper will be balling in the pros. You'll still be playing arena league. I think that league folded 10 years ago. You'll be in the AFL. Henry says nothing. Henry, thanks for the super chat. Slager says, yeah, but the giveaways work to the extent Barkley went off. That's true, Slager. All right, well, what should we make the giveaway catalyst this year? I don't think it should be Barkley again. That's lame. I think we should make it Jalen Hurts. What should we make it? Should we make it the edge rushers? Every time the edge rushers get more than one sack in a game or something? You're good, Deshay. Do what you got to do, brother. I appreciate you. I'm just messing with you. Nah, that's lame, Twiz. We don't even know when he's going to be on the field. Look at this asshole. This guy comes in here and says, the show stinks. It's like not even a funny shtick. Guy's like, I'm committed to my shtick. Zander doesn't give me any credit. Yeah, how about because your shtick sucks, Ryan? It's a stupid shtick. It's not funny. It's not entertaining. Nothing about it is unique. You're not a memorable person in the chat after doing your shtick. How about you take some advice? It's a shitty shtick. It's a shitty shtick. Again, you showed up to watch me, Ryan. At least JD3 had a memorable shtick. At least Brian Pumper is known throughout the chat world in JAKIB Sports. Your shtick has not stuck. It has not lasted. It has not been humorous. It has not been entertaining. I recommend you make a switch. Tyler Braswell, what up, Braswell? He says, was expecting one Super Bowl shirt and I got two. Hell yeah. Thanks, Xander. Braswell, thank you for your support of the channel, my friend. I'm happy you got your shirts. I did send you two shirts. I tossed in an extra for you, my friend. All right, I tossed in an extra for you. Ryan says, ouch, got me. You know I love you, Ryan. You know I love you, brother. All right, where's Henry? Henry, if you have a super chat, you put it in the comments. I'll pull it up. Eagles win by 10 equals a jersey. Not bad, Sig Lord, but I don't know, you know. Eagles win by 15, 2 jerseys. You want to go based on how much they win games by? Yeah. All right, here's what I want to do. You guys think of it. Think of some ideas for giveaways, because I'm doing giveaways. Might take me a second to ramp them up, though. Remember, last year I gave away the least amount of jerseys in September. October, November, December. YouTube doesn't pay you till the next month, all right? So I got to get this opening season cash into the account before I can start loading up on giveaways, all right? So I might take me till October. Actually, Ryan with not a bad one. Eagles scored 30 points. Trayvon Walker jersey. No, I'm buying you a Harrison Bryant practice squad jersey. Okay? It's going to have the practice squad logo on it. Okay? You got the little, it's a little one with the holes in it. You know, it looks like one you can buy at Dick's. I'll go over to Modell's or Dick's Sporting Goods, and I'm going to buy you the JD3, buy you the Harrison Bryant jersey. Okay? Okay, JD3. And you can wear that on your couch while you drink from your sippy cup and you watch the show. Okay? That bitch ass. 2 sacks or 2 turnovers jersey. All right, so everyone wants to go defense. A lot of defense. Jalen passing. See, this is when I was kind of leaning toward riding the bench because it's been such a topic on JAKIB, you know, where John and Cilio harp on the passing yards. So I felt like it would be kind of fun. It would play into especially Cilio's shtick. Speaking of shticks, you know, that's not a bad one. All right, think about it. We'll come up with it on Monday. Yeah, we have Labor Day Monday. Cilio's like, I need off. I'm like, it's the fucking Eagles game. The fuck do you mean? If you want Labor Day off, then work in another industry. What the fuck, Cilio? He doesn't take much off, though, so I'll give him off. I'll give him off. Eagles fans love sacks. They averaged 2.4 sacks per game last year, so over 2.5. John and Cilio are addicted to hating. It's not untrue. What's this guy saying? What's this Nimrod saying? All the suckers and the losers are out today. It's because the Eagles season's almost here. They're getting nervous. All right, everybody. I love all you guys. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Hit that like button. I got to go. I got a meeting at 10:30, and I haven't prepped for it yet. So let me go and do that. Love all you guys, including you, JD. Bad day at the office. Ryan, tough day at the office. I had to put you in the blender. Hopefully you come out a smoothie. You know, sometimes you can take rotten fruit, you know, and bake a cake with it or something, or put it in a blender and make a smoothie. Or I don't know. You ever seen those rotten bananas that people turn into a banana cake? Maybe that's what you can be, Ryan. Use the blender to get to your next phase. Henry says, what's the story on Audric Estime? They want to bring him in. That's what John said today, and they need to open up a practice squad spot still. So let's see what they do. Let's see what they do. But they're trying to get him in. That's what John said. So we'll see. We'll see, Henry. Xander not done roasting. I'm never done roasting. It's not a rotten cake, dumbass. Eduardo, you've obviously you're not a baker, and I'm not either. But I grew up with an Italian mother who makes one of the finest cakes known to man. When you're making a banana cake, the last thing you want is a fully ripe or a fully non-browned banana. You know what it means when fruit is becoming rotten? It's the sugar is seeping out of it. Don't let Eduardo make you a banana cake, everybody. All right. If you want good banana cake, you call Mama Krause. That's what you do. You call Mama Krause. You say banana bread, banana cake, whatever you want. Banana muffins. My mom is the GOAT. Because my mom is a supreme baker, Eduardo, I guarantee you, if you had one piece of my mom's pastries, you would shit a brick. Xander, you're going to be late. I know I am. It's my world, and I make the fucking rules for them, Philly. If I'm late, I'm late. So be it. Note to self, no Eduardo anything. Look at Eduardo. He's taking shots. Don't let Xander cook for you, everyone, period. Oh, my God, you got me. You got me. Oh, my God, I can't cook. You got me, Eduardo. This is Eduardo doing the dishes at night. And then his girl looks over and says, oh, my God, look at how sexy he looks doing the dishes. That's a real man right there. Look at him scrubbing them dishes. Look at him doing those dishes. Eduardo, take the day off, kid. Take the day off, kid. All right? Doesn't sound pleasant. I know you're a dish scrubber too, Emrys. I know it. You don't even have to explain it to me. I know you're a dish scrubber. Every night. Okay, hon. You enjoy your TV show. I'm going to wash the dishes. Here I go. All right, I'm out of here. I'm sorry for roasting everybody today. I love all you guys. I appreciate all you guys. See you next time, everybody.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.